For the body, this is going to be the same for the Santa as well as Mrs. Santa. Mrs. Santa is going to increase to 1 in 4, then 2 single crochet, and then the Santa is going to increase to 1 in 6, then 2 single crochet. So the first thing you're going to do is just take the yarn, drape it across your 4 fingers, use your thumb to stabilize, then wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers and hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. And then I'm using my 4mm crochet hook still. Go under those 2 loops around the middle fingers, bring up a loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through the loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to make 6 single crochet into the magic circle. Then you're going to take your 4-finger and thumb and hold the base of the 6 single crochet. You have the 2 loops on the opposite side. Pull on one of them. If it doesn't close, let go and pull on the other one. But this one's closing, so just gently close it. You don't have to worry about completely closing it at this point. Just close it as much as you can. Then take that loose yarn end and pull on that. Then go ahead and turn your work. We're going to work into that first stitch, just like we did for the head. You're going to go into that first stitch and you're going to make 2 single crochet into the same stitch. And then you're going to make 2 single crochet into every stitch around until you have a total of 12 stitches, and then this is what my work looks like so far. Now you can turn your work over if you need to close the center of your magic circle. Mine is pretty closed, but sometimes you'll need to turn it over and then just pull on that loose yarn end to completely close the center. Then you're ready for your increase rounds. Go ahead and get your yarn marker. So for the first increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. 1 single crochet into the first stitch, 2 single crochet into the second stitch. So you can see how I already moved my yarn marker up, and I made 1 single crochet into 2 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch for the next increase round. You're going to repeat this pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. 1 single crochet into 2 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch. Now you should be getting the hang of it. The next increase round is going to be 1 single crochet into 3 stitches. So the first one we did 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochet into the second. Second round we did 1 single crochet into 2 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the third stitch. And now we're at 1 single crochet into 3 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the fourth stitch. Go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So this is the last increase round now for the Mrs. Santa Claus. 1 single crochet into 4 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 5th stitch. You're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Now if you're making the Santa Claus body, I made mine a little bit larger, so I made 2 more increase rounds. So the next increase round would be 1 single crochet into 5 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 6th. I would repeat that all the way around, and then for the last increase round for the Santa would be 1 single crochet into 6 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 7th stitch. So I just finished my last increase round for the Mrs. Santa, and I have a total of 36 stitches in the round. If you notice, the increase rounds are going by multiples of 6. So if you're making the Santa and you made 2 more increase rounds, where the next one would be 1 single crochet into 5 stitches, and then the next following one would be 1 single crochet into 6 stitches, you'll find that for the Santa body, you're going to end up with 48 stitches total when you're finished with all of your increase rounds. Now, you're going to go ahead and take and move your yarn marker up And you're only going to make one single crochet in every stitch around. So for Mrs. Santa, I made 15 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch. Now when you reach the yarn marker, you're not going to take it out. You're just going to leave it in place. It's going to serve as a marker so you can tell how many rounds that you have. Now you can see that I've reached my yarn marker. I'm just going to keep on going. So you're just going to keep on making one single crochet in every stitch around. And then the yarn marker will serve as a counter. So you can see I have one round so far. And each time you reach the yarn marker, you'll have the same number of stitches, 36 stitches, and you're going to start forming a cup. So for Mrs. Santa, I made 15 rounds, and for Santa Claus, I made 22 rounds. So 15 rounds of one single crochet in every stitch for Mrs. Santa, and 22 rounds if you're making the Santa Claus for the body. So here you can see I've made 15 rounds for the Mrs. Santa's body, and then 22 rounds of one single crochet for Santa's body. And Santa's already, his head is already attached to the body, and he has all of his hair. Now I'm going to show you how to attach Mrs. Santa's head to the body, but first we're going to go ahead and close the body. So for our first decrease round, which means we're going to decrease the number of stitches in the round so we can start closing the body, you're going to make a single crochet into the first 4 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the reason why I made one single crochet into 4 stitches to start is because the increase rounds I stopped on one single crochet in 4 and then 2 single crochet into the 5th stitch. So on the decrease round, I'm starting with one single crochet into 4 stitches. Now for the Santa body, we increased to one single crochet into 6 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the 7th stitch. So on the decrease stitch for the Santa, I made one single crochet into 6 stitches and then the decrease stitch for that decrease round. So to make your decrease stitch, you're going to take your crochet hook, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, go into the next stitch over and bring up a loop. You have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through all 3 for a decrease stitch. So now I'm going to make one more set with you. You're going to make one single crochet into 4 stitches for Mrs. Santa, and then one single crochet into 6 stitches if you're making Santa Claus. So I'm closing Mrs. Santa right now. So I'm making one single crochet into 4 stitches, and then I'm going to make my decrease stitch. And you're just going to keep repeating this pattern all the way around, back to the yarn marker, and then come back. I'm back to the yarn marker, and you'll notice that the hole is getting slightly smaller. That's what we want. Then you're just going to take and move your yarn marker up, and then we're going to start our next decrease round. So you're going to just decrease the initial number of single crochet by 1. So since the previous round was 4, now it's going to be one single crochet into 3. And if you're making the Santa, you started with one single crochet in 6, so the next decrease round would be one single crochet into 5 before your decrease stitch. So for Mrs. Santa, I'm making one single crochet into 3 stitches, and then I'm going to make my decrease stitch. Then you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. One single crochet into 3 stitches, and then your decrease stitch. And remember, if you're making the Santa Claus body, your decrease now would be one single crochet into 5 stitches, and then your decrease stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Now you can go ahead and stuff the body at any time and stuff it as you need as you're closing. So for your next decrease round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches and then your decrease stitch. Then go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around. And remember, for the Santa's body you started with 6, then 5, so now you're on 4. But for Mrs. Santa, we're just going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches because our previous row was 3, and then before that it was 4. So you can see how you're just decreasing that initial stitch by 1. So then you just make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches and then make your decrease stitch. You're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So you can see I've already moved up my yarn marker. The hole is getting smaller and smaller. Now my previous row was 1 single crochet into 2 stitches and then the decrease stitch. So now it's 1 single crochet into 1 stitch and then my decrease stitch. Repeating that pattern all the way around. This is what mine looks like so far, and I went ahead and put some extra stuffing into the inside, and I'm ready to close it. Since it's so small, now what I'm going to do is just make decrease or slip stitches all the way around. So you just take your crochet hook, you're going to skip the next stitch and then go into the next stitch, yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. And then you're just going to slip stitch the body closed. Then after it's completely closed, you can go ahead and yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through. Then you can take your tapestry needle, put it onto the loose yarn end. I have to find my thicker one. Ah, here it is. Then just go right where you finished off and then come out anywhere on the body. And then just cut your loose yarn end. And now the body is ready for you to sew the head onto the doll. If you haven't already, go ahead and stuff the head of the doll to get it ready to sew onto the body. You also want to make sure that you shape the head so that the cheeks look like they're cheeks, and then the neck is a skinny neck, and then it's ready for it to be sewn onto the body. Then I just take the body and I sew the head onto the portion where I finished off. Just center the head, and then you're ready to sew the head onto the body. Then you're just going to take your tapestry needle and place it onto the long end that you left for sewing. If you don't have a long end, just put it onto the same colored yarn, and then you're just going to go right into the body and come out in the front, and then just go in and out all along the base of the head, sewing the head to the body. Make sure you keep it centered the way that you want as you're sewing around. I came out on the body, so I'm going to go back in through the body and then go up into the head and come out of the head. Then I came out on the head, so I'm going to go back in through the head, about a stitch over, and down into the body and out the body on the other side. So that's how I sewed mine on, and I went all the way around the base of the head, sewing it to the body. The Santa's head is sewn on the exact same way, just going in and out, sewing. Of course, with the Santa, you have to move all of the hair out of the way. This is what mine looks like after getting the head sewn on. You can see how it's very secure all the way around, and then you can kind of push the head down, get the shape that you want. Now I'm going to show you how to make the arms and the legs. So you're going to need, of course, 2 of the legs and then 2 of the arms. For both the arm and the leg, you're going to start the same way. So you're going to get the main color of yarn. Go ahead and drape it across your 4 fingers. Use your thumb to stabilize. And then wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers. Hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. We're going to make the magic circle. I'm using my 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. I'm going to bring up a loop. Yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through that loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to make 6 single crochet into the magic circle. And then just like we did before, take your 4-finger and thumb, hold the base of the 6 single crochet. You're going to pull on one of the opposite side loops, then let go and pull on the loose yarn end. Then turn your work for the first stitch. We're going to make 2 single crochet into every stitch around for a total of 12 stitches. So go ahead, make 2 single crochet into every stitch around for a total of 12 stitches, and then come back. Now you can take and turn the work over if you need to and pull on that loose yarn end to completely close the center of the magic circle. Then just take your yarn marker, place it right where you left off. I'm just using one of my scraps of yarn as a marker. Now you're just going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch around. So 1 single crochet in every stitch around. When you reach the yarn marker, you're just going to keep going. You don't want to remove it because you're going to use that yarn marker to help you count the rounds. For the arm, you're going to keep going until you've completed 26 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. For the leg, you're going to keep going until you've completed 35 rounds. So you can see the 26 rounds for the arm and then 35 rounds for the leg. And then you're going to need 2 of each. I'm going to show you how to close. They're both closed the same way. Because these are so long and skinny, you're going to want to make sure that you stuff it as you're closing, because if you try to wait until you've finished all the rounds, it may be harder for you to stuff the arm or the leg. So what I did was I just kind of stuffed it as I crocheted, and it just made it easier at the end doing it with that method. So I just finished 26 rounds of 1 single crochet into every stitch for the arm. Remember, for the leg you're going to complete 35 rounds, but I'm making an arm for this one. So they're both made the same way except for the legs are a little bit longer. Then when you're finished, you're going to close the top. So after you've made sure it's stuffed well, then you're going to skip a stitch, go into the next stitch over. Then you're just going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook. And then you're just going to finish slip stitching all the way around. Then when you're finished closing, you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Just take your tapestry needle, and again you're just going to go right where you finished off and come out anywhere. Then just cut your loose yarn end. Now I'm going to show you how to make the mittens and the sleeve for the outfits. They're made the same for both the Mrs. Santa and Santa Claus, except they're different colors. You're going to need your 5mm crochet hook for the outfit. Just take the white yarn for the mitten for Mrs. Santa Claus. If you're making the Santa Claus, you would follow along the same way, except you would have your black yarn. So the first thing you're going to do is start with a magic circle. Go ahead and drape the yarn across your 4 fingers. Use your thumb to stabilize. Wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers and hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. Then you're going to make 6 single crochet into the magic circle. But remember, our first thing we're going to do is a slip knot. So bring up a loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through that loop for your slip knot. Now you're going to make 6 single crochet into the magic circle. Then you're going to take your 4-finger and thumb, hold the base of the 6 single crochet. You have those 2 loops on the opposite side. Just like before, you're going to close as much as you can, then take that loose yarn in and pull on that. Then just turn your work. We're going to work into that first stitch. And you're going to make 2 single crochet into every stitch around for a total of 12 stitches. So go ahead, finish making 2 single crochet into every stitch around for a total of 12, and then come back. Then you just take and turn your work over and pull on that loose yarn end to close up the center of the magic circle if you need to. Then you're going to get your yarn marker, place it right where you left off. Then you're going to make an increase round. We're going to increase the number of stitches in the round. So make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. Then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 2 single crochet into the second stitch. Then go ahead and take and move the yarn marker up to where you left off, and you're going to make 7 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So 1 single crochet in every stitch around for a total of 7 rounds. So you're not going to remove the yarn marker when you get back. You're just going to keep going. This is how my work looks after completing 7 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. Then go ahead and move the yarn marker up to where you left off. Then you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Then you're going to make a decrease stitch. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. 1 single crochet in 1 stitch, then your decrease stitch. So we're just going to make 1 decrease round back to the yarn marker. Then just take your yarn marker and move it up, and you're going to make 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. So 3 rounds of 1 single crochet into every stitch. Then after you finish the 1 single crochet in every stitch for 3 rounds, we're going to make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. Just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Then you're going to finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. So of course you're going to need 2 of these for Mrs. Santa Claus, and then if you're making Santa, you'll make them in black, 2 of them in black. And now I'm going to show you how to make the thumb. For the thumb, you're going to start with the magic circle again. Go ahead and make your slip knot. Then you're going to place 6 single crochet into the magic circle, just like we did before. Then just take your forefinger and thumb, hold the base of the 6 single crochet, and then just go ahead and close the magic circle just like we've done before. This time you're only going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So only 1 single crochet in every stitch around for a total of 3 rounds, or however long you want your thumb piece to be on your mittens. For mine, I just went around 3 times. So 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. As you're crocheting around, you can go ahead and turn your work inside out and stuff the loose yarn end into the center of the thumb. Now I've only completed 2 rounds, so I'm going to finish my 3rd round. After you finish completing your 3 rounds, then you can make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. Then you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the thumb onto your mitten. Then you just place your mitten where you want to sew the thumb onto. For mine, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows up, and then just took my tapestry needle and went into the side only where I'm placing the thumb, or sewing the thumb. And then you're just going to take and go into just the base of the thumb and sew all the way around the base of the thumb to the mitten, making sure that you don't sew the mitten front and back part to each other. You want that open, so you just want to sew along the base on the side of the mitten only. And I had 1 finger inside to help keep it open, and then I just sewed all the way around with my tapestry needle, making sure that it's sewn in place. For the sleeve portion, I'm using my homespun white yarn, but you can use your regular white yarn if you want to, if you don't like to use this yarn. But you're going to use it the same way. You're just going to take the yarn, fold it over on itself to form a loop. I'm still using my 5mm crochet hook. Hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and thumb. Just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through that loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to make a chain of 15. I'm just going to show you 4 of them. You just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead, finish a chain of 15, and then come back. This is what my chain of 15 looks like. Then I'm going to hold that last stitch with my middle finger and thumb. I'm going to make a chain of 2, 1, 2. Then I'm going to make a half double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook, which is the stitch that I'm holding. So I'm going to yarn over, go into that 3rd chain from the hook, You're going to bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through all 3 for a half double crochet. Then you're going to make 1 half double crochet into every stitch back across. So 1 half double crochet into every stitch back across, and then come back. And when you finish your last half double crochet, you're going to take and fold it in half, and we're going to make a slip stitch into the top stitch of that first chain 2 that you made. So you just go into that top stitch, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Then you can chain 2, 1, 2, then go ahead and drop your work because you want to join the bottom. So take your tapestry needle and place it onto that long end, the long loose yarn end at the bottom, and then join the bottom of the ring to join a circle, form a circle. And then I just tie a knot. You can leave the loose yarn end for now, we'll bury that later. So now you have a ring that forms the cuff of the mitten or the sleeve. Then after you have your chain 2, you're just going to make 1 half double crochet in every stitch around. So 1 half double crochet into every stitch around. And then come back. When you're back to the first chain 2, you can make a slip stitch into the top stitch of that first chain 2. Then you're ready to join your red yarn. But before I continue on, I'm going to show how to make, for those of you that have trouble with the homespun yarn, you can see how it's hard sometimes to see the stitches. I just love the design it creates. It's like a pearly color with the homespun yarn, so it's a little bit different than with the white yarn. So you can change it up a little bit, but because it's a more difficult yarn to crochet with, I'm going to show you with the white yarn with the Santa. So you're going to start the exact same way. Just fold the yarn over on itself to form a loop. Go into that loop, hold the base of the loop with the middle finger and thumb, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through that loop for a slip knot. I'm going to show you 4 of the chains, but you need to make a chain of 15. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead, finish a chain of 15 and then come back. Then you're going to hold that last stitch with your middle finger and thumb and make a chain of 2. 1, 2. That's going to count as your first half double crochet for the next row. So then you're going to yarn over, go into the 3rd chain from the hook or the stitch that you're holding, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through all 3 for a half double crochet. Then you're going to make 1 half double crochet in every stitch back across. So yarn over, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, go through all 3 for a half double crochet. So go ahead, finish making 1 half double crochet in every stitch back across. This is how your work should look. Then go ahead and fold it in half to form a circle. Then you're going to make a slip stitch into the top stitch of that first chain 2 that you made. Go ahead and yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch. Then you're just going to place the work down for a minute, grab that loose yarn end, put it onto your tapestry needle, and then you're just going to join the bottom to form a complete ring. And then I just tie a knot. And then that joins the bottom into a ring. Then you're going to chain 2. I have the right side facing me. Chain 2. Then you're just going to make 1/2 double crochet into every stitch around. Back to your first chain 2 for the round. So 1/2 double crochet in every stitch around, back to your first chain 2. Now I'm back to my first chain 2. So I'm going to go into the top stitch of that first chain 2 with my crochet hook. Then I'm going to make a slip stitch. Then you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Now you're ready to join the red yarn to finish the sleeve. The exact same way as the Mrs. Santa Claus. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Now I'm going to show you how to join the red yarn. So just take your red yarn, go right into the stitch where you finished off. Go ahead and bring up a loop with your red yarn. Make sure you have enough of a loose yarn end. Go ahead and chain 1 and then tie a knot. Then you're going to make a single crochet into the next stitch over. I like to go behind my loose yarn ends to bring up a loop. And since this yarn is my homespun yarn, I'm just going to make 1 round of single crochet in every stitch around so that I can show you the stitches a little bit easier. So this round of 1 single crochet in every stitch is optional. I only did it so I can show you the design of the sleeve. As long as you have 15 stitches around, 15 to 16, then what you're going to do is make a single crochet into the next stitch, bring up a loop, make your single crochet, then you're going to go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 4 loops, then chain 1. And you just completed a Trinity stitch. So you're going to make a Trinity stitch all the way around back to the beginning. So you go into that last stitch where you finished the last stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 4, then chain 1. You're going to repeat that all the way around. I'm going to make 1 more with you. So far I've completed 7 of the Trinity stitches. I finished my last chain 1. Then you're just going to keep continuing and working in rounds. Don't forget your chain 1. So you can see how I'm just continuing around and just completing Trinity stitches all the way around. And again, you don't want to forget your chain 1 after you finish, and then just continue working around. For mine, I completed 10 rounds of these Trinity stitches. So 10 rounds total. After you finish your 10 rounds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then you can make a slip stitch into the next stitch over and finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. So then I went ahead and just buried my loose yarn ends onto the wrong side of my work. Just take and bury it or weave it into the wrong side of the work. Then it's ready to be sewn on to the sleeve. Now the first thing I did was I took the arm and placed the mitten right over the arm. Then I took the sleeve and placed the cuff of the sleeve over the last row of the mitten. And then you want to take whatever yarn that you used for the sleeve, the cuff of the sleeve, that's the yarn that you're going to use to sew the sleeve to the mitten. Then I just took that yarn and I started on the wrong side. So whatever side that you want your thumb on, just flip it to whatever side you're working, whether it's the right arm or the left arm. And then you just take and grab the mitten only. And sew the mitten to the cuff of the sleeve. Make sure you leave enough loose yarn end for burying into your work. And if you want, you can sew it to the arm. Whatever you want to do for yours. Just make sure you have enough of the arm so that you can attach it to the doll. This is how mine looks after I sewed the mitten on. And you can see that I took the arm out so that the arm will come in and out, but it's a little bit trickier getting it back in, but you're able to remove it, which is what I like. Then you just make 2 of the Santa, if you're making the Santa, and this is the one that I made for Mrs. Santa. Just remember that the thumb, you know, which arm that you're making, you just flip it, or make sure that you are aware that you have the thumb on one side for the right arm and then the left arm. Now I'm going to show you how to make the boot for the Santa and then the boot for Mrs. Santa. They're both started the exact same way, so they both have the exact same black boot. So with your black yarn, you're going to fold it over on itself to form a loop. I'm still using my 5mm crochet hook. Hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and thumb. Yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through the loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to make a chain of 12. I'm just going to show you 4 of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead, finish a chain of 12 and then come back. After you finish your chain of 12, you're going to make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. And then you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch back across. and then come back. Now when you reach the end, you have 1 stitch left. You're going to make 3 single crochet into that last stitch. So 3 single crochet into the very last stitch. And as you're making those single crochet, you're going to turn your work because we're going to start working back along the opposite side. So this side we made all our single crochets. I'm making 3 single crochet into the last stitch. I'm working behind that loose yarn end because I'm going to bury it as I work. So I have 3 single crochet in the very last stitch. I've turned it to where I'm working on the opposite side now. I'm going to go into the next stitch over, behind the loose yarn end, bring up a loop, and then I'm going to make a single crochet. So now I'm going to make a single crochet in every stitch back across on the opposite side. And then in the very last stitch, you're going to make 3 single crochet in the last stitch. So that way you have 3 single crochet on each end. And then we're going to start working in rounds. So go ahead, finish making your 1 single crochet in every stitch back across, except for the last stitch you're going to place 3 single crochet. And then come back. This is what mine looks like so far. I have 1 stitch left. I'm going to make 3 single crochet into that last stitch, into the same stitch, and now we're going to work in rounds. So you're going to need your yarn marker. Go ahead and place your yarn marker right where you left off, and now you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So 1 single crochet in every stitch around for a total of 2 rounds. So 2 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So this is what mine looks like so far. You can see I finished 2 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, and it kind of forms a little boat for the boot. Then you're just going to take and move the yarn marker up. You're going to make 1 single crochet into 6 stitches. So 1 single crochet into 6 stitches. Now you're going to make your decrease stitches. We're going to make 6 decrease stitches. So go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through all 3 loops for a decrease stitch. The other term for this is single crochet 2 stitches together. So that was 1. We're going to make 2. 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can see how that makes a little rounded portion for the front of the boot. So you just finished 6 decrease stitches. Now you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch back to the yarn marker, and then come back. This is how my work looks so far. Then I'm back to the yarn marker. Go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up to where you left off. Make 1 single crochet into 6 stitches. This time you're only going to make 4 decrease stitches. around the front of the boot. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then you just make 1 single crochet in every stitch back to the yarn marker. Then just take the yarn marker and move it up. This time we are only going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around until you've completed 5 rounds. So 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 5 rounds, and then come back. So you can see how I finished 5 rounds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it made a cute little boot, little Santa or Mrs. Santa boot. So now you're ready to join the white yarn. So both the Santa and the Mrs. Santa boot had the white yarn. Just take and put your crochet into the next stitch over, bring up a loop. You have 2 loops on the hook. Go ahead and get your white yarn. You're going to bring up a loop with the white yarn. Chain 1. Go ahead and turn your work down. Cut your previous color of yarn. Then you can take and tie a knot. So for the Santa boot, I only made 4 rounds with the white yarn, but you can go up higher for the Mrs. Santa, so it'll be easier to slip on and off of her foot, or you can just sew it in place on the foot, whatever you decide for your Mrs. Santa doll. But if you're making the Santa doll, I only did 4 rounds, or made 4 rounds with my white yarn. 1 single crochet in every stitch around. For Mrs. Santa's boot, I only made 4 rounds of the 1 single crochet in every stitch with the white yarn, and you can see that it slips on easily to the foot and it stays on well. So I left mine at 4 rounds. For the Santa boot, you're going to stop after 4 rounds. You're going to go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, and then you're going to join the red yarn. So go ahead and bring up a loop with the red yarn, then chain 1. Then you can set your work down, cut the previous colored yarn, and then just tie a knot. Then you're just going to make 1 round of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. And I went behind my loose yarn ends. So I'm going behind the loose yarn ends just to bury them, make the crochet work a little bit neater, even though it's going to be hidden inside the boot. So go ahead, finish making 1 single crochet in every stitch around. Then when I reach the beginning, you're going to make a single crochet into the next stitch to join the round. Then you're going to go into the same stitch that you just made your joining single crochet with, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 4, then chain 1 to complete a Trinity stitch. Then you're just going to make a Trinity stitch all the way around, and you're going to start working in rounds. I'll show you one more. Now I'm back to where I started. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the same stitch just like I've been making the Trinity stitches all the way around. But now you can see how I'm just going to continue working in rounds. And you're going to keep making your Trinity stitches, working in rounds until you've completed 7 rounds of Trinity stitches. So I'll make one more with you. And then I'll let you go ahead and finish. Remember your chain 1 and finish your 7 rounds of Trinity stitches. After you finish 7 rounds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you can go ahead, finish your last Trinity stitch. I need to chain 1. Then just go into your next stitch over, slip stitch, and then finish off. Just yarn over and pull enough yarn through just to bury into your work. And then you need 2 of these for the Santa, and then 2 of the shorter ones for Mrs. Santa Claus.